interesting. So, season 6, episode 3 just aired. I'm in Tokyo, so it's actually like I have to watch these in the morning when they come on. Dedication. But anyway, let's talk about season 6, episode 3, Oathbreaker. Talking a little bit about that. We're going to go into some commentary about inside the episode, preview, discussion, all that jazz, and a little bit of review. Now, frankly speaking, this is not that action heavy of an episode. It's not that action heavy. It's more kind of moving the story along a little bit more, which is good. We need that to happen, and it starts giving us some more feedback on. It's a little bit of everybody, right? It's a little bit of everybody's kind of story. But yeah, there wasn't that many heavy action, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping for, we always want those big scenes, the big battle scenes. I mean, those are the cool parts. Yeah, it pretty much kind of felt like just moving the story along. So let's break it down, what it talked about, what some new points that, reveal a lot more going on. So first off, we got Jon Snow rising. He's alive. He's back. But it's also it's a heavy gravitating. He remembers his own murder. He remembers his own guys murdering him, and he even talks about there is no great beyond. He feels weird about being back. He remembers everything. There's that major heaviness around that. But he does embrace everybody. Ed, Tormund, they all embrace him as, like, this is the real Jon Snow. He's back from the dead. Tormund makes a pretty big, pretty funny joke about, like, hey, man, you're not a god. It's okay. I got to see you naked, so... which I thought was pretty funny. Then we cut into Gilly and Sam, and we honestly didn't know what was going to happen to them. We didn't see that much. We know that Sam was going to go become a maester, and yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing. How's that going to work? Because if he goes to be a maester, isn't like the same thing as like Men in Black, like a Night's Watch, where they can't really get married and they can't have kids with and everything. So he even says like, you can't come with me on this journey. As I become a maester. So instead, like, Gilly's like, well, what are you going to do with me? And Sam goes, basically, I'm taking to my old family. The dad that said he wasn't worthy of his lands and kicked him out, he's going back to him to talk to his sisters and mothers to help him, to help with the baby and help her be safe. Basically, safety. Then we get a flashback. We get Brandon and, Three-Eyed Raven going further in, and we finally get to see Ned Stark in his youth going up to rescue his sister, and he goes against what guy's name is the Sword of the Morning. This guy was epic. Okay, this was the best. I love this scene. This was the best scene. Guys wielding 2 different swords, kicking ass, taking names. He basically cuts down maybe like 5-6 men on his own, and it was very interesting because Brandon always heard these stories of like, my dad beat this guy, this world-renowned swordsman. Didn't really happen the way he'd expected. Basically, Ned won, but he didn't win like out of pure skill. Basically, one of his other men got the guy in the back with a knife, and Ned was able to finish the fight, but it wasn't like a pure skill victory. It was actually like not what Brandon was expecting. Here's the one cool twist. Brandon calls out to his dad. Ned Stark acknowledges that he heard something. This is probably going to be that moment in time that we're going to see Brandon's going to be able to like maybe rewrite the past somehow. He's going to maybe be able to rewrite the past. If he's able to go inside the past, time, space, reality doesn't really matter that much, then maybe that he can basically maybe rearrange or change the past in a way, change the future outcomes of certain events. Something to behold if he's able to go back and his presence is acknowledged back there. So, might have cool things to come. After that, then Dany goes to the Dothraki camp. That was like an okay scene, big deal. So she goes into the tent. She's with all these other widows of all previous calls. Cool. Okay, and we kind of thought it was going to be threatening, but it's not that threatening. So she's just there now. She just moved from one place to the other and meets all the other widows. Cool, great. Move that one on. Next thing we got Varys talking to Vanan, which was, we saw her a lot in the last couple seasons, being an accomplice to the Sons of the Harpies, who were killing all the different people within the ranks. And Varys makes her an offer like, hey, I can smuggle you outside the city. You and your son will be safe, and a new life ahead of you if you tell me who's supplying, who can give me information. And it was a very interesting scene because you get to see kind of like him at his, what he's there for do with his little birds, what he does for information. And he doesn't do it out of a torture. He even says like, I don't do torture. I don't do it that way. He's a very good negotiator. He's a very good way of gaining the information, gaining the upper hand, and you kind of get to see him in his element doing that, which I thought was pretty amazing. Next thing we got is the small council. Small council. This kind of puts stops Cersei in his tracks. Cersei and Jaime go into the small council room, and everybody's there. And of course, I forgot his name, but the uncle Lannister, Tywin's brother, who is the head of Castle Rock, who's now handed the king, basically just totally, even though this is his family coming in, just as like, you guys have no power here. We don't have to go sit through this. You guys have no power. We're going to leave. I thought that was a pretty amazing part. I thought that was pretty interesting like that. Then we got Aya. So Aya is now training as a blind woman, becoming an assassin. You see her step by step. She's getting better. She's being able to realize. She's using her other senses. She's smelling for certain poisons. She's being able to read the situation. And then as soon as she's able to conquer, I don't know her name, but the other girl in training, or it might be a girl in training. We don't know. It could be another assassin. Now, Jaqen is kind of like getting her to the next level. She gets her sight back. So now she's been able to use it where she doesn't need her sight. She's able to accomplish a lot on her own and fight on her own, and they give her sight back. So we'll see what happens. It's basically she just reached the next level of her training as at the House of Black and White as a no-name, no-one assassin. Then we get a flash to Ramsay. Ramsay, this was a little disappointing, frankly speaking. So like Ramsay's now Ward of the North. He's got the Karstarks next to him. Guess who he picks up? Rickon Stark. What the hell, man? The guy... Okay, so we didn't see him at all last season, but we see him on this season before that. He was being taken away into... I don't know where he was going, but they smuggled him out finally. He's finally away. This is like an ideal guy where we don't know... He's not really... He's not a Robb. He's not a Jon. He's not a Brandon. He's not an Arya. He's like the only Stark in this whole group that does not have a backstory. And then he gets fucking captured by Ramsay. And Ramsay, is going to take advantage of this, and it's going to be terrible. But maybe, hey, it's going to make way for Rickon to have some kind of story for the future. So we'll see where that goes. But I was a little kind of disappointed. Like, Rickon, come on, man. And he's got the one chick with him who's supposed to be very, like... she's a wildling, but she's like been like really attached to him and everything like that. Okay, finally, the one part that was a little bit of a shocker, Jon kills the 4 men that killed him. He didn't kill everybody, but he killed Ollie, and he killed Sir Alistair, the main people that were the conspirators to assassinate him and killed him. Now he kills him. You can tell he feels bad, and he gives his Lord Commandership to Ed and leaves. I obviously he's not gone for good. I'd be very surprised if he's gone for good, because it's like I always thought. My thoughts were like, and me and my friend thought the same thing, where he's gonna come back from the dead. And then he's going to have the wildlings with him. And now he's going to clean house, and he's going to operate every single turret on the wall in order for things. If he quits, what's going to happen? Where is he going to go? Maybe he reunites with Sansa. We don't know. He might reunite with Sansa and help her out. Or take the North. And I mean, Stannis really put into his mind that, you can become a Stark. You can be renamed by just a, swish of the pen. And Ramsay is another bastard at the thing. So maybe he's going to go meet up with Sansa. He's going to get the other North loyalists, and he's going to clean house in the North, saving Rickon. Maybe that's a way. There's so many ways you can do this. He either second thought, I'll go back and help the wildlings and the Night's Watch. Or maybe he's going to go down north, clean house, and kick Ramsay's ass out of his house. Or maybe both. Maybe he goes down there first, and then as soon as the White Walkers come up, now he's going to go back to the Night's Watch and, helps them out and leads them to victory. But some things to consider. So, interesting stuff. Good episode. Not that much action. It was kind of more of a follow-along story, frankly. Like, it really just touched up on every single person, every single relationship going on right now. We got to see a glimpse of and what was going on, and it just kind of moved the story along. All right, and I also watched the inside of the episode as well as the new preview, and I want to do a separate video for those comments. So stay tuned for the next video. Game of Thrones, love it, can't get enough of it. Going on to the next thing, and thank God we're still at the beginning of the season, so we got a lot more ahead of us. Cheers, guys. Take care.